to another lip balm comparison video, this time between the Palmer's Flip Balm in Juicy Watermelon and the REVO Watermelon, just plain watermelon. So let us get started. But first, don't these two look really cute together? I mean, especially because this looks like a little flower anyway. If you put it on top of it, it totally looks like a little flower. I know, I'm a loser. Anyway, so yeah, format-wise, they're both dome types, even though this one has a flat top to it. And this one actually is rounded, but much more flat. It's actually a lot more like the little mini REVOs in that it's sort of like a little bubble rather than a full-on dome, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. So that's the format. But packaging-wise, obviously they are very, very different because the REVO is just the plain spherical old-school REVO. The newer ones are octagons instead of just plain spheres, but this is an older one. Whereas this looks like a little tulip and has the flippy action going on instead of a screw-on, screw-off lid. And has a little bit of info on the bottom about it, if you would like to look at that. Come on, focus. There we go. Yeah. So anyway, this one has nothing on the bottom other than just REVO, and I wrote watermelon on the bottom. So there is that. This one is mostly organic and natural, to my understanding. This one is totally synthetic. This one is part of the permanent collection, even though it's an older one, and you can't get it in this particular packaging anymore. They do still make the just plain watermelon. It's just an octagon instead of a sphere now. And this, I don't think is limited edition. There's only 3 flavors in their entire line, so as long as they keep making these, I'm pretty sure this is a staple item for them. But it is from a set of 3, so the other 2 are coconut and mango, in case anybody was wondering. The amount of product you get in these is supposedly the same, even though I call serious bullshit on that, because there was supposedly a 1/4 of an ounce, but let me just show you again. Obviously not a lot's been used out of this. And then this one, just let us take a moment to look at them side by side. Bring it up to this level. Do we see a difference here? Like, I have not even used it that much. I just opened it last week, and these are supposedly the same amount. I mean, to be fair, if we turn it this way, it is bigger around, so maybe it just is more spread out and dispersed that way, but up and down ways, I was like, there is no way that is a 1/4 of an ounce. Sorry, guys, I don't buy that for a second, even with it being slightly bigger around. That does not look like a 1/4 of an ounce to me, but it's what they claim on the packaging, so that's their story, and they are sticking to it. The shelf life on these, I don't believe the Palmer's has an expiration date on it, but it did have a thing on the label to use it up within 12 months. So, given the very short lifespan on this one, I've been using it like crazy every day since I opened it to try and make sure I do use this one up, because it's so good I don't want any of it to go to waste. So this one doesn't expire until next year, even though being synthetic is probably still fine even afterwards, because it's not medicated and no SPF in it, but it's good till October of 2017, and I got this like 2 years ago and I'm still using it, and as you can see there's not very much out of it, mostly because it's, well, not the first one I bought of it either. I bought a couple when I bought this one. I did go through another one, so this is like my backup spare one. But yeah, that. Price point wise, neither one of these are very expensive. I mean, REVOs are only a couple of bucks at Walgreens, and these at Target were only, gosh, what was it? Either $2.50 or $3.50, but it was not very much, surprisingly. For this special packaging, I honestly was expecting a lot more, so I was very happily surprised to find out that these are as cheap as they are, you know? But the sturdiness on them, you can tell it's a cheaper plastic than this, and it's a thinner plastic. You can even tell by tapping on it that that's a much thinner plastic than that. I don't know if you can even hear the sound difference on the camera, but if you have both of these, you can definitely tell there's a difference. Yeah, you can even tell there's a difference banging those into each other. But yeah, this is a textured, heavier plastic. This is a thinner plastic, and since it has moving parts on it, there's more things that could potentially go wrong and break over time. Not to mention, I would be slightly concerned putting this in a purse because it doesn't close very tightly, and it wouldn't take very much for it to flip open and get totally destroyed. So, in my opinion, I would not have this as a purse lip balm. I would have this as like a either keep and use at home one, or put it on your desk and use it sort of one, but not one that you would ever put in a bag, because I do not trust this to not flip open, because it takes almost no exertion whatsoever to make that go up. So just something to keep in mind. That is the only issue I have with this one whatsoever. Special features, like I said, it's got the flippy action. That's the only special feature it's got. Neither of these have medication or SPF. Scent-wise, though, this is where the big difference comes in. Because this is made with real ingredients. This smells like an actual watermelon. What do you know? Since it has actual watermelon extracts in it. And they're also, I figured out the cocoa butter smell people are talking about. It does apparently have a sort of chocolatey undertone to it. Which, I mean, it just smells really nice. But yeah, I had no idea what cocoa butter really smelled like until people mentioned that, and then I tried it again and was like, oh, I guess there is a little bit of a chocolatey hint in there, which would make sense because what is chocolate from? It's from cocoa. Okay, I am stupid. But yeah, so that's what this one smells like, whereas this guy just smells straight up like a watermelon Jolly Rancher. That is the absolute most accurate description I can tell you for what the watermelon REVOs smell like. Color-wise, they both go on clear, but obviously this one has white wax, whereas this one has pink wax. And I have figured out what the little black dots are that are in the wax on this, if it'll focus. Yeah, I actually scraped most of them off, but one of my viewers actually told me that they're little color beads that didn't dissolve all the way when they made it, and I tested this out and scraped a couple off with my nail and crushed them between my nails, and sure enough, it was that color of pink got a little burst on my nail. I was like, well, I'll be damned. Okay, so that makes me feel better knowing that it's not some sort of creepy bacteria living in it or something like I was worried about, or mold or something. No, that is apparently just little color beads that apparently don't dissolve quite as well in the pinker REVOs than they do in most of the others. So, there's that. Flavor-wise, there's actually quite a similarity here, even though one's real ingredients and one isn't. This one tastes very much like if you just bit into an actual watermelon. It's very sweet, but very distinctly watermelony, which that to me is kind of rare for a lip balm, because usually, sure, they'll have a sweet taste to it. It won't necessarily taste like anything in particular, but it'll taste sweet. But this one, it also has a sweet flavor to it, and also is distinctly watermelony, but the difference is that it tastes like a watermelon candy, not so much like actual watermelon, which, again, makes sense given the ingredients used here, but it's still worth noting, because some people don't like artificial scents and flavors, and some people don't care so much, some people prefer them. It's all a matter of personal preference. Given that I pretty much love watermelon anything in any way, shape, or form, I am good with all of the above. So anyway, consistency-wise, there's a big, big difference between these two. This one is very thin and very sort of watery and slick and greasy, but in a good way. I love how it feels on my lips. Do not get me wrong. I'm not ragging on it one bit. I actually love this one. This over here is really waxy. Not so much so to where it's like the newer REVOs where they actually feel like as if you rubbed a crayon on your lips, but it is decidedly more waxy than this, which doesn't feel waxy at all. But there is a waxiness to it. But you can still tell that it's moisturizing nonetheless, which is something that I feel like is kind of lacking in some of the more modern REVOs and makes me sad, but yeah, as an older one, it definitely does better at that, so I do like it for that. But this one is also much, much shinier and glossier on your lips. This one is fairly matte and doesn't really give any shine. In terms of actual moisturization jobs that these do, they actually both do a fairly decent job of what they're supposed to do. Even with this one being a cheaper product, it actually does do its job. I have to give credit where credit is due. In terms of longevity, though, because this one is so thin, and because it absorbs into your lips so easily, it really doesn't stay on all that long. I mean, you're lucky if you'll get an hour out of this before needing to reapply it. Whereas this one, this'll stay put for a little while, maybe a couple hours before you realize it's all gone, but yeah, and this one's more prone to actually holding up to if you eat or drink something with it on and still have some on your lips afterwards, so it is worth it for that. My overall pick for one of these two, it's tricky because I actually do love this one, don't get me wrong. I would pick this one because this, just in my opinion, is sheer perfection in everything about it. I love this one. It is quite possibly quickly becoming my favorite lip balm that I own in my entire collection, so it's going to be very hard for anything to really compete with this, honestly. So anyway, that's about all I have to say here. So as usual, if you like this video, click the like button. If you're not already and you'd like to be, click subscribe. Leave comments down below. Do you have these two? Do you have one or the other? Which one do you like better and why? And leave me anything else you'd like to leave me, and let me know what products you'd like to see me review most next. And until next time, bye!